before you, I can brag that Nigeria is not borrowing, it's dying from local bank. The revenue, we have met our target of revenue for the whole year. We met it in August. I've reviewed this morning.
We must reject the illusion that our salvation will come from Washington, London, Brussels, or Beijing. Our salvation lies here in Lagos and Johannesburg, in Abuja and Pretoria, in the hands of Africans.
FG6 fresh $1.75 billion World Bank loan, despite Tinubu's boast of meeting revenue target. Welcome to Chinick TV podcast. Today, we are asking one of the most uncomfortable but necessary questions. If Nigeria has met its revenue target for the year, why is the federal government still seeking a fresh $1.7 billion loan from the World Bank? This is not just a financial issue. It's about honesty, transparency, and the trust in leadership. President Bola Tinubu has told Nigerians that we have met our revenue target for 2025. And not only that, we met it earlier, as far back as August. He proudly declared that Nigeria is not borrowing a dime from local banks and that our non-oil revenue is doing well. But then, Punch newspaper reported that the federal government is approaching the World Bank for a fresh loan. Nigerians quickly connected the dots. If we are not broke, why are we still borrowing? This contradiction sparked anger, confusion, and suspicion across the nation. Let's break this down. Tinubu's statement on revenue was meant to inspire confidence. He wanted Nigerians and investors to believe the economy is recovering, that reforms are working, and that there is no reason to panic. But the World Bank loan request tells a different story. A story of dependency, of cash shortfalls, and of hidden struggles. For Nigerians who are already tightening their belts after subsidy removal and higher taxes, this contradiction feels like a betrayal. Because to them, borrowing is borrowing, and in the end, it is the citizens who must pay the price. To understand why Nigerians are so skeptical, we must look at history. In 2005, under President Olusegun Obasanjo, Nigeria negotiated massive debt relief with the Paris Club. The nation was freed from billions in debt, and the people believed a new chapter had begun. But within a few years, borrowing crept back in. By 2015, when Muhammadu Buhari took office, Nigeria was already carrying fresh loans. Under Buhari, debt ballooned. Roads, railways, and power projects were financed through loans. But much of that money also disappeared into corruption, abandoned projects, and debt servicing. Today, more than 90% of government revenue goes into debt servicing. That means for every 100 naira Nigeria earns, over 90 naira is used to pay old debts. That is why people don't trust this new World Bank loan, because they have seen this move before. Now, let's be fair. Loans are not always bad. Government officials often argue that loans can be useful for 1. Building infrastructure like roads, bridges, and power plants. 2. Filling temporary gaps when revenue collection is delayed. 3. Supporting the naira by strengthening foreign reserves. 4. Refinancing old loans with new ones at low interest rates. These are valid financial tools if they are handled properly, but the Nigerian experience has been different. Too often, loans have been mismanaged, diverted, or wasted. The result is that ordinary Nigerians see borrowing not as development, but as debt slavery. Let us hear the voices of ordinary Nigerians. On social media, one citizen said, "This man just announced that we are not borrowing, and yet here is another loan. Does he even know what he is saying? Or is this the Bulaba syndrome again?" Another mocked bitterly, "Everything is about borrowing. One day, Tinubu may borrow your kidney or intestine." Market women are asking, you removed fuel subsidy, you raised taxes, so where is the money? Why are we still borrowing? Young graduates struggling to find jobs are saying, we are paying for mistakes we didn't make. These loans will hang on our necks for decades. The anger is real. The frustration is deep. Nigerians are tired of leaders who make big promises but deliver more debt. Here is the critical point. 1. Meeting a revenue target does not mean Nigeria is rich. It simply means the government collected what it planned. If the plan itself was low, or if the spending is higher than income, then loans are inevitable. 2. Saying that we are not borrowing locally is wordplay. It does not mean no borrowing. It only means the borrowing has shifted from Nigerian banks to the World Bank. At the end of the day, it's still debt. 3. The contradiction lies in communication. You cannot boast of revenue success and then quietly run to the World Bank. Nigerians see that as hypocrisy. 4. The deeper problem is trust. The government have not convinced the people that loans are used wisely. Until transparency is restored, every new loan will be seen as corruption in disguise. And this is not just Nigeria's problem. Across Africa, debt is swallowing countries whole. Ghana recently defaulted and had to beg the IMF for restructuring. Zambia has been stuck in debt negotiation for years. Kenya is suffocating under Chinese loans for infrastructure. This is what Julius Malema, the South African leader, warned Nigeria about during the NBA conference in Enugu. He told African leaders to stop running to China, Russia, IMF and the World Bank for funds. He said Africa must use its own resources, develop local industries, and stop being financial slaves to foreign powers. His words ring out today because if Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, keeps running back to the World Bank, then what example are we setting for the rest of the continent? So, what is the way forward? 1. Nigeria must publish all financial records in plain language for citizens to see. 2. Leaders must cut wastes, reduce foreign trips, stop buying rosary cars, and shrink the size of government. 3. Loan agreements must be made public so Nigerians know the terms and repayment plans. 4. Above all, government must channel resources into agriculture, technology and manufacturing, the real engines of growth. Only then can Nigeria break free from the endless cycle of borrowing and dependency. In conclusion, Tinubu's statement that Nigeria has met its revenue target sounds good on paper, but the request for a fresh $1.75 billion loan exposes a deeper problem, a government that is high on slogans but low on honesty. Nigerians are tired. They are angry. They want truth, not half-truths. They want solutions, not more debt. As Julius Malema said in Enugu, Africa must stop running to foreign powers for money. We must build our own solution. This is Chinick TV podcast, where we hold leaders accountable because Nigeria deserves the truth. Thank you for listening.